Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Papaya Pod, a McLaren F1 podcast. I am your host, Jimmy, and McLaren are the world champions, constructors champions, back to back. Come on, yes, get in, McLaren. What a relief. It's been on the cards for a while, but they finally got it over the line. Relax, people. Enjoy this moment. We are champions again. First time we've got a back to back since I think it was 91, I want to say. You can fact check me on that. That's fine. Amazing news. Just relief. I went down and saw the McLaren sign this week. It was an unexpected trip to the McLaren sign. I was working and drove past it, had to pull over and get some photos. You may have seen them online. It looks better than ever. All lit up in papaya. It's got the World Champions, World Constructors Championship Champions 2025 on it. It looks fantastic. If you haven't been to see it, just go down there and see it. If you can, I appreciate not everybody can, but it is amazing. There's something about that sign that is just magical. If you don't get it, that's fine. And I probably sound like a right weirdo, but trust me, there's just something about that massive McLaren sign. It's fantastic. And it's better than ever right now. McLaren are champions. Anyway, let's get back to this episode. I was joined by another amazing guest this week. He is the host of his own podcast, which is called the Motorsport Review Podcast. He is Perry Brown. He does an amazing job with that podcast. They do Formula One race reviews. They also cover a lot of other motorsports, some of which, if I'm being honest, I wasn't even aware of. But yeah, I still enjoyed the episodes about them, and it is genuinely quite educational, and it does sort of make you realise actually there is more than just Formula One out there. Don't get me wrong, I love Formula One, but be a bit more open-minded, I guess, and yeah, appreciate the other motorsports as well. So go and give his podcast a listen. He has guests on each week, and it genuinely is just really enjoyable. Listen, a nice, easy listen, but really enjoyable and educational. So go and check out the Motorsport Review podcast. This was another great episode. Really enjoyed chatting with Perry. A great guy. Had some fantastic memorabilia. So you might want to watch on YouTube just to see that part as well. Amazing memorabilia. I'm waffling on, but it was great. McLaren are champions. Come on. Hope you guys enjoy this episode as much as I did. Without further ado, here he is. It's Perry Brown. Perry, thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, real imposter syndrome once again, being asked to come on. You've had some fantastic guests. I don't know what you're doing asking me, but it's a pleasure to be here.
Trust me, mate. You're one of them. Believe you me. And if anyone's being the imposter here, it is this guy sat in this side. Trust me, I do not belong amongst the people that I've had on. That's for damn sure.
Some very good people, yeah.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate, mate, to have some unbelievable guests. I really have. Start where I always start. I mean, I happen to know the answer to this question, but why are you a McLaren fan?
It's you have to go back to being before a McLaren fan, to before being a Williams fan. That's not right for this podcast. To my dad watching Formula One and me watching with him being a Ferrari fan, and me quickly realizing that I didn't like Ferrari is probably the nicest possible way of putting it. I think as a young kid, I saw you had Ferraris who built supercars. You had them against the Williams Renault, the Renault being the important bit. I was like, but Renault just make normal cars. So my young head couldn't really understand how Ferrari got to take on all these sort of Hondas and Renaults and Minnows, and then yeah, cut forward to Jerez 1997 and that famous "you've hit the wrong part of him, my friend," and it
Yeah.
was sealed from that point. I thought, I don't like Ferrari. I really liked the blue of Williams, and so I would have been a Williams fan if it wasn't for a different cigarette sponsor, which we won't mention, but they turned the car from blue to red. And then again, as
Yes.
a young kid, I couldn't tell the difference between them and Ferrari, my abject rivals. So I had to pick a different team, and the two McLaren drivers at the time, Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard, both had blue helmets. So it was a decision from then. and yeah, just stuck with them really, and ever since sort of really thought about this and gone, yeah, the whole ethos of the McLaren team, the way they go racing, the way they operate, maybe to a fault in 2025 at times,
Yeah.
it really agrees with what I like in teams and what you want to see as well when you're supporting someone and an organization like a team.
Yeah, amazing. It's a great way to put it. I actually didn't know your dad was a Ferrari fan, so that's quite interesting. I knew from listening to your podcast, which we'll get into in a minute, you were a McLaren fan more because you disliked Ferrari so much and
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher. A bit like myself, to be truthful, in some ways. But I didn't know your dad was a Ferrari fan. So how did he take that you sort of went against him, I guess?
There's a lot of banter.
Right.
Well, it goes even further than that. He supports Crystal Palace as well, and all three of me and my brothers all support Man United,
Oh, wow.
or supported Man United. He said at least it's not Brighton, so that's okay.
Could always
Sorry,
be
Brighton
worse.
fans, if you're listening. Yeah, there's a lot of It's a lot of fun. But as a Ferrari fan, he's been to the MTC twice, so
Wow.
he can't be that much of a Ferrari fan, can he?
There will be some McLaren fans absolutely raging by that comment. So ones that
Do you know
haven't been, I mean.
there might be one fan on this call that was raging the first time he went. Um, I still tell this story to my mum all the time. So back like 2011 to 2012, they had the McLaren membership. And my mum gifted it to me, but she had to sign up with her email address. And so you get the email saying, "Do you want to enter this competition?" And around 2015, 2016, she won a competition, but it was like, you have to be there tomorrow. And me being where I was, I couldn't get there. So she phoned me up and said,
Oh
"Perry, you're going to
no.
see something. You're not going to be happy. Just know that I would have sent you, but I
Oh,
couldn't." And the next thing I know, I'm looking at my phone. What am I looking at? And my dad and my brother are both at the MTC, and I'm not. And I said
oh,
to mum, I was like, I didn't talk to her for a week. I was
oh,
raging.
that must have been so hard.
It was when you're sat there, as you say, as a fan, you're like, I really, more than anything, want to go to the
I
MTC
guess at
and to
that point you
see
hadn't been, right?
people so close. I hadn't been, no. It would
Wow.
be a few years before I got to go, and yeah, seeing dad and brother Ferrari fan as well,
Your
both at the
brother's a Ferrari
MTC.
fan too.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
And even he went wearing a Ferrari top as well. He didn't even hide it; just walked straight in the door.
And they
It
let
was
him in?
for a They let him in, yeah. It was something to do with it wouldn't have been a shadow. I think it was world's fastest gamer. I think they went in association with, so they got to see that in that grand auditorium, that
Yeah,
they have with all the sort of seats. I think they were in there. I don't
right.
remember because I wasn't there, which I tell my mum about all the time. But
It's great to see you've
yeah,
let it go all these years.
yeah. If my mum's listening, yeah, she's back on the birthday card list.
Maybe. Oh
Perhaps.
dear. Wow, that's amazing. So I had no idea that your dad was a Ferrari and your brother as well, obviously a Ferrari fan. So that is quite funny. Going back to Williams, when Williams went red, that was just
Yes.
there was something really not right about that. Even now, when you see videos of old races or pictures of old races, and what's that red car in the back? Oh, it's Willie. Oh, Willie. Yeah, I forgot Williams were red. It's kind of one of those things you sort of try to blank out, I think, because it was just never quite right, was it?
It wasn't. No, no, absolutely. As you say, it was. Yeah, it was very strange, especially when it had Woody Woodpecker on it for a while as well. You're thinking, is this the same team? Like,
Yeah,
really?
really strange. But
Um,
money talks, right? Sponsorships
Absolutely,
and stuff, and as we all know, sponsorships you used to and sometimes still do dictate the colours of the cars. So
absolutely, they
yeah,
do.
which is why some of them are so famous, I guess. And the McLarens are no different for that, with the red and whites, with the silvers, and yeah, it's different times, different times. Um, you have now been to the MTC. I'm aware of that. How many times have you been?
Yes, I've been 3 times now.
Wow.
So the first time, funny enough, the first time was in 2023. I won OKX competition. Owe a lot to OKX, and so this was about a week after the first race of the 2023 season. Without going into too many details, because I'll cry, it wasn't very good. And social media being what it wasn't too pleasant. And this was 2 weeks after I'd been on the McLaren fans cast and called the car orange a couple of times.
Oh,
So I turned up with I've posted them on social media before, chocolate oranges that said Perry's sorry, he said orange. So I turned up with a stack of them, left them at reception and said, give these to your social media team. I know they've gone through a bit of stick this week with what's gone on, so this is for them. And I have it on good authority that they didn't last very long.
I'm sure they didn't. No, I don't think they ever do.
No, no,
Wow. So you've learnt your lesson. You can't say the O word anymore.
no, no. I've said it already on this podcast, but it's okay to reference, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all right to reference. Don't go hating Perry for that. Come on. Um, I think you might have said it on your own podcast as well a couple of
I,
times.
it's just it just keeps coming back up like Perry Orange, you know. I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't know if it's Andy or Sarah who obviously ran the
Yes.
Twitter account for the McLaren Fancast at the time. Obviously, it was going around Twitter all the while, and one of them just messaged me and said, "I'm so sorry," and I was like, "No, no, it's good. I love it."
Thing is that
Yeah,
you just embrace it, right? It's a bit of fun, isn't it?
absolutely.
Hopefully no one was too serious about it. And yeah,
No, I still get screenshots all the time, as recently as the Grand Prix just gone, where
wow.
F1 tweeted something like turning Singapore orange, and I get that sent to me, and like, yeah,
Oh, amazing. And that was what, 2.5 years ago now, nearly.
yes, yeah. So it
Wow.
started 2023.
Amazing. Amazing. Um, I'm going to ask you this because I ask all the guests that have been multiple times. The last time you went to the MTC, was it as special still as the first time?
It always is. Yeah, the that first time when I walked in, I mean, it snowed, so there was part of me that was like, I'm not going to get there.
Oh
I'm going to
no.
crash on the way there, or I'm going to be held up. I'm going to miss the start time. And once I'd made it, once I stood in the car park, I remember seeing like a few other guests and thinking, this is real. We're about to go in. And then it was 2 hours, but it was just 2 hours of me going like this and just buzzing and just being like everywhere, like I can't believe. And it was gone and it was over, and I was getting on the bus and leaving. And I remember being like, did that just happen? It was so quick. So the second time was just taking it all in, and the same again. There was a couple of year gap between them. It was September 23 and June this year was the last time I got to go, very luckily. Um, so there's a bit of a gap between them, and it's always different. You know who
Yeah.
your tour guide is, what you get to see. They're moving things around
Yeah.
constantly. Yeah, it's always special. But yeah, that first time you're just a complete buzz, and then after that you sort of get into the groove of what it is, and able to take more of it in.
I 100% get that. I've spoken about it a few times. Sort of when I went last year, it's the only time I've been. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been so lucky to go. I'm well aware of how lucky I am to have been once, but I just feel like because I didn't know what to expect, a bit like what you just said, it's kind of a little bit of a blur in a way, I guess, because there's so much to take in. And at least the second time, I guess you can prepare yourself a little bit more. You can calm yourself because don't get me wrong, it's still going to take your breath away and you're still going to be amazed everywhere you turn. But I guess because you kind of know what to expect, you're a little bit more alert to it, I guess, and you can take it in a bit more perhaps. But
Yeah, and especially when you get there and you see straight away there's an F1 car, and you
yeah,
just straight away you're like, get the phone out. I want to take a
yeah,
picture of it. And the tour guide's like, quick, can we just get in? We've got to break. We've got to show you something. We're gonna have drinks. Like, can we just get you in the door? And again, the first time you're like, no, 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 I want to see this. I might not get a chance. And you sort of, again, you learn the second time, no, 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 you will have time. You will get that time. It's better to do it later. You know, get in the building, get your feet under the table, I guess, in a way. Just
Yeah.
get yourself calmed down, have that drink of water, and then get that time later on.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the main car I wanted to see was Mika Häkkinen's a 98 championship winning car, the MP413. And as soon as I saw that, I sort of went running over to it. And again, the tour guy was like, "All right, calm down. We're going to come back to this." And I was like, "But what if we?" And in my head, I'm going, "What if we don't come back to this? This is the car. This is the car that made me a McLaren fan. Dad, quick, take a picture and stuff like that." And oh, it's just yeah, it's mayhem. And most of the people there, they're experiencing it for the first time themselves, right? So they're sort of in the same boat with other cars. I remember there was a lad a bit younger than me, quite a bit younger than me. His Mika Hakkinen car was Lewis Hamilton's car. That was the car that got him into McLaren and stuff. And then there was an older generation that run into the Senna's cars or Nicky Lauda's car or James Hunt, whatever it was. Everyone was sort of doing the same thing with different cars, and it's the poor tour guides don't have a chance in hell really of sort of keeping everyone composed and together really. But I suppose they're used to it. Oh
Yeah,
dear.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's there was a
Okay.
moment like that. The last time I went, they had one of the bays set up that we were able to go in with the historic cars, and that car, Mick Hackenen's car, was in bits. Now, I don't know whether that would be a good thing or not, but I was stood over his car, like looking at the bits of wires and the engine. And again, they were told like no photos. And the
Yeah.
first thing I wanted to do was like, I want to get a camera out. The urge to reach for my pocket was so strong, but I was literally leaning over this car, and our tour guide was talking behind me about something else, and I wasn't listening because I was just in this car. Like for a brief moment, I was the mechanic, and this was my job to rebuild this car,
Yeah.
just for a second.
I think I've told the story before, but I remember when we went into the room, they had Lewis Hamilton's championship winning car stripped back, and there was a mechanic with his arm inside the car, shoulder deep inside the car, and I was stood maybe a meter away from him, and I just started laugh. I was like shaking my head and laughing, and he looked at me and said, "You're all right." Like I think I freaked him out a little bit, and I was like, "Sorry," I said. You have your entire arm inside Lewis Hamilton's championship winning McLaren. And to you, this is just another day at the office. I went, and I'm
That's it.
stood this close, just cannot believe what I'm actually seeing. And he's like, yeah, we do actually. When you get home and we let it settle, when we realise what our day has consisted of, we some sort of quite often have to pinch ourselves that actually this is our job and how lucky we are. She said, but in the moment, you have to be so focused on the job in hand. You ultimately they are there to do a job, but yeah, I guess they really do think about it when they get home. They must do
Yeah,
because it's just not a normal job,
absolutely.
is it?
No.
Yeah, yeah, incredible. I want to talk about your podcast as well. The Motorsport Review podcast. God, nearly forgot the
That's
name of it then. That wouldn't have been a good start, would
I almost forget all the time. Yeah.
it? Amazing podcast, I have to say. I know you do reviews of the Formula One races, but you also cover all sorts of different series as well. And I know that when you're doing the Formula One stuff, you're always quite conscious of not being too McLaren heavy. I know you've been accused of it in the past with certain reviews, but how can you not be this season, right? But yeah,
Absolutely.
tonight you can be as McLaren heavy as you want. In fact, we absolutely insist that you are fully McLaren. So hopefully, let your guard down and just let it all out. Great to see you're wearing last year's Constructors Champions t-shirt for those that
Yes.
aren't watching.
It's out of date now, isn't it? The
It's
the
out of
nine
date now. It's
needs
we
to
have
be
to
a
get
10.
another one. So in case you've been living under a rock, McLaren are the Constructors' Championship champions again, back to back. First time since 1891. Was it 91?
91.
I think it
Yeah,
was
nine.
91. Gosh, someone might fact check me on that. But it's the first time for a long time we've gone back to back anyway. Incredible achievement. It's it kind of felt like it was inevitable for the past what, four races, I guess.
I'd
But
say even longer than that,
maybe
perhaps.
longer, maybe longer. But until it's over the line, it's not done. But we can relax now.
We can, yeah. So as you say with my podcast, I try not to have too many. I have to apologize to like my McLaren friends. I don't want to invite you on because I want an opposing view opposite me. And The Azerbaijan Grand Prix, obviously there was a chance, but I had two of my sort of regular people on with me, a Aston Martin Red Bull fan, I think they were, and I got so much stick. Obviously, we had a bit of a bad weekend. Um, Obviously, fast forward to Singapore, it was looking a lot more likely, and I tempted fate and I messaged a lot of the McLaren's
Oh,
fan cast, a lot of McLaren. I said, I'm having a McLaren heavy one. We're winning the championship. It's happening this time, and I thought I've done it now. If we don't do it in Singapore, it was on me because I
and I
basically
think
said
you
we were
had,
going
was
to
it
do
Andy
it.
Robinson you had on for that one as well?
I did,
Yes,
yes,
yeah, I thought
yeah,
it was that episode. I was trying to remember because I've binged a few this week, so I'm sure it was that one. Yeah, I mean, what a guest to have for that one, huh?
yeah. It's. I'm so grateful for having people like Andy Robinson, Andy Donnelly, who's been on here
Yeah,
before. Keith comes on quite often. Having people like that available that are willing to give you their time is like a godsend. You know, when you're trying
yeah.
to put a podcast together, I'm very fortunate for where I am, and as I say, I feel sorry that I can't ask them. That I feel like I can't ask them more, but
I get that.
yeah,
It is difficult, isn't it? Because you do try and you need to try and be sort of a bit more open. It can't all, and the natural thing as a McLaren fan is to talk about McLarens, right? And like I
yeah,
said earlier,
absolutely.
it's if it was Red Bull or Ferrari, their two drivers are competing for the championship, and they've won the constructors with 6 races or whatever it is left to go, which I think is the equaling record of the soonest time anyone's won the
It is,
championship.
yeah.
How can you not talk about McLaren? Because if it was one of those other teams, you would be talking about them. So I don't think people should be quite so harsh on you for talking so much McLaren.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I try to balance it out and say, look, I, if you're honest and say I'm a McLaren fan, and then you're harsh about them or you're good about them, people can judge your opinion based on where you sit. And if you're harsh about them, they go, okay, that's an honest view at least. If you're shining a light on them, saying, oh, they were fantastic, they can at least tone it down and go, okay, if he wasn't a fan, he probably wouldn't be as positive. So it's better just to be open, and say, oh, hey,
Yeah.
I'm a McLaren fan, and what the hats and things I have in the background of McLaren, but I wouldn't typically wear McLaren. But yeah, it's better to be open and honest about it,
But
definitely.
but also you're doing a motorsport podcast, right? The chances are you're going to be a fan of one of the teams or drivers or whatever it might be. It happens, but it's quite rare for someone to be like, I'm not a fan of any teams in particular. I just like the racing. It's quite a rare thing. So yeah, it's
It's
perfect.
definitely a benefit. Certainly. So the start of the year, I covered the Dakar Rally, which is one I was really excited about and got so into. And straight away, I was like, I love the Ford Raptor. And then shortly after, we did the Rolex 24. And I was watching GTD and going, I really love the Mustang GT3. And I thought, I think I'm secretly a Ford fan underneath this McLaren fandom. And then I thought, oh God, they're going to power Red Bull next year.
Oh
That's going
yeah.
to trigger some feelings, perhaps, that I didn't even know I'd have. So yeah, it's lovely when you watch a series for the first time, when you come into a sport new. And I think we should, most people are open to new fans. We don't shame people for coming through DTS or how they get to. It shouldn't matter whether you watched in 1978
No.
or didn't watch in June this year, So just open, embrace people, and I'm jealous of them for not having that warped view like we have. Like McLaren can't do wrong to me and you, but someone coming in, they just see it for like the first time, fresh eyes on a new sport, and just coming in and just imagine like that first time you watched Formula One and truly fell in love with just the sport, not even a team or a driver, just the sport itself. Just coming in like that is it's definitely a point of jealousy. It's like watching a film for the first, your favorite film, watching that for the first time.
Yeah, I absolutely get that completely. Yeah, I'm with you there. People are saying, coming into, oh, this is boring, McLaren. McLaren have got a lot of hate this last year. And I understand it. A lot of it's the underdog mentality, isn't it? You want to root for the underdog, but McLaren were the underdog. They were the massive, massive underdog. A couple of years ago, they were, or
Yeah,
2.5 years ago, they were down. They were the bottom feeders. So that's a great underdog story. Okay, they're a massive team and a good, great history. I get that, but because they're winning, people hate it. Well, hang on a minute. At least they've got two drivers that are competing. Okay, there's a lot of things that have gone wrong. And of course, last week, another race with more controversy, because that just has to happen now for McLaren. Um, but at least it's exciting because you still don't know which one of them's going to win it. Okay, Max is also on the cusp as well, and you never know with Max. You can never write him off because he's Max Verstappen.
Absolutely not.
But it's for me, it's better than 2 years ago when Max had won the championship by like what May or something stupid, not mathematically, but basically. And it
Yeah.
was just a case of every week, how many minutes did Max Verstappen win the race by? And it was that every week. Whereas at least this is different, and I think it's way more exciting. Maybe that is just with my McLaren glasses on. I don't know, but I would certainly rather it be one team with two drivers challenging than just one team and one driver.
Yeah, and I was on the McLaren's fan cast saying exactly that, you know, the ideal situation isn't just McLaren getting 1-2s every weekend. It's having four, five, six cars able to enter a race weekend with the possibility of being the winner, and we've certainly got that at the moment.
Yeah.
Go back to 2023, it was pretty much one team. Which of their drivers is it going to be? Is it going to be Max Verstappen or Sergio Perez? Well, Perez won, was it two races
Yeah,
the whole year, and he won them
even
both
when
in
he
the
had
first
chance,
four.
he had to give it up, didn't he?
Yeah, so everyone goes, it goes back in waves. You go back to Red Bull, then before that you got Mercedes, then you had Red Bull again with Vettel.
Yeah.
It's always the way that there is a top team, and as a result, people go, "Oh, I want something different." And it's not that they want something different; it's that they're Ferrari fans and they're bitter and they want Ferrari to be at the top again. Hatred coming out there. Sorry, Dad, again. No, it's that
I don't
they
think you
want
are
their
actually
team.
sorry.
It's that they want their team, they want their driver, and as soon as it is that person, I'm sure they would stop. They'd start to defend it and go, "Well, they've got to where they are." And but I always said, when we were down in the doldrums a bit, I said that I want it to be our team, but I want to have ultimately more than one team. That's all we ask for, and we've still got Max Verstappen in the fight. But we importantly, we do still have this Lando Oscar fight that is, as you say, it's reaching melting point quite nicely now, and I do wonder with the constructors tied up whether they will approach it differently and whether anything will change at this point.
Yeah, and again, it's more controversy, and of course, on the socials, you've got people going, "Well, this shouldn't have happened, and that shouldn't have happened." But are we seeing Oscar? I don't want to say lose his head because I don't think he's lost his head by any stretch of the imagination. But are we seeing maybe he's not quite as cool, calm, and collected as we maybe thought? Do you think?
Very possibly. I mean, so qualifying in Azerbaijan, I said it's very tricky, difficult conditions. We can forgive him for having an accident because, I mean,
Yeah,
five other drivers, and these are the best 20 in the world, had
yeah,
accidents on that day. The race start wasn't great, whatever that might have been, and then it was the red miss. The sort of panic. That's potentially why he crashed. To then see it with this radio call, and bear in mind in Silverstone we had something similar where he got the penalty
yeah,
and he said, well, if you oppose the penalty, we should swap the positions there. So he was still doing the same calls, but again, in Silverstone, when they said no, we're not going to do that, it quiet straight down. Here it seemed like 10 laps of no, 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 I think that's unfair. And you understand why, contact was made if they've been told no contact. And from his point of view, it looked like he had a fair whack from Lando. He sat there going, "That's not on." But it's it's just tricky, isn't it? Has he started to show effect? I don't think so. I think Austin is where we're going to see Oscar return to the top. That's what I hope. I think a proper a proper racetrack
yeah.
as opposed to a street track. It should suit McLaren better. It should suit Oscar better. Yeah, I think a clearer track, clearer race that will set him good.
I
And
I, I don't
yeah,
mind the street circuits. In fact, I still love Monaco despite all of the hate it gets. I love it for what it is. I respect it for what it is. I accept it for what it is. And it's been that way for many, many years since I was growing up. It was a Saturday race. And, it's still, for me, I love it. This year, after the Singapore, I am done with street circuits for just for the rest of this year. Not forever, just for the rest of this year. I don't want another street circuit. I want a circuit that they can race on, that there's a bit more overtaking, a bit more chances. Yeah, I just don't get me wrong, I love them, but I've had enough, and especially with I think a lot of it is all this controversy that's happened as well with the pit stops and everything else, and it's just like, I mean, I say it every week. I love Lando, I love Oscar. If I'm being completely truthful, I've probably got a bit more of a soft spot for Lando. One, because a bit like you said on your podcast, he's been at McLaren since the start of his career. um, and for quite a while now, and when they were really down in the dumps. And also, he's British, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like for like
Yeah.
preferring a driver ever so slightly because they're the same nationality as you. So yes, I might be ever so slightly. I wouldn't even say Lando bias because I don't think I am because I'm just happy that McLaren have won a constructors and hopefully, providing Max doesn't do something unbelievable, they're going to win the drivers. I would, if I was being honest, would love it to be sorry, Lando. But I'm not just saying this with Lando goggles. But last year, and I forget what race it was. Bearing in mind, Oscar had no chance of winning the drivers last year. Lando did at that point. And on the opening lap, it might have been turn one. It was certainly one of the early corners. Oscar completely took Lando by surprise and overtook him. I think Max was pole, if I remember rightly. Lando was second and maybe Oscar third. And Oscar just took him. Great overtake, but took Lando completely by surprise. Lando's basically done the same thing, right? Okay, there was contact, but through no fault of his own. But this time the difference is they're both fighting for the championship. We've been calling out for Lando to be more aggressive for how long now? It feels like all year. In fact, even part of last year. He finally showed some aggression and then he gets absolutely slaughtered for it. He
It
can't
wasn't even
win.
aggression, was it, really? I mean, I know contact was made, but he just outbraked himself on one corner. And Jenson Button pointed it out after the race brilliantly. He said, look at Oscar's line, through two. He's not followed Max. Max has stayed more right to open the corner up.
Yeah,
He's defensive. He's squeezed him to the inside. He's put the pressure on Lando to make the mistake. And then when he's made the mistake, he's run slightly wide. Piastri hasn't given them the room to allow for that. So he can't be too surprised that he's put him under pressure. It's resulted in like the tiniest of mistakes, and then he's had to pay like a little bit of a price for it. But he was going to get him anyway. I
yeah,
think
I, I, I
if
I
it had been the
agree.
cleanest move, I'm sure the Piastri fans would have still been like, "Oh, he can't take him like that. It's the black
There would
one.
have
They
been
should stay in
something, wouldn't
formation."
there? There would have been some. And by the
Always
way,
will
this
be.
isn't just a dig at a Piastri, a conspiracy theorist, because I'm well aware that there are probably more Lando ones. So, yeah,
It's every week, isn't it, at the moment? Whatever happens in the race, Zach Brown wants the person who comes ahead to win the championship because, of course, he cares. It's 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 rubbish. It just is. From someone that's followed the team, followed the sport for so long, we just know that McLaren have got no say in which driver it goes to. They would not do that.
no, 100%. And people need to understand that because I'm so sick of reading this nonsense on the socials. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, let's get through that. Anyway, hopefully one of them's going to win it. And to be honest, I don't really care who it is. I would like it to be Lando, but if it's Oscar, I'm going to be just as happy and just want some exciting races to end the season. Hopefully they're both up the front fighting for it and being aggressive, but not too aggressive. Papaya rules and all that.
Agree with all of that.
Um, have you got, yes is the answer, any McLaren memorabilia? And what is your favourite piece of McLaren memorabilia, more importantly?
I'm gonna have to. So we're gonna go on the road a little bit.
Yes, let's do it.
Um, so mention I won a competition with OKX.
Yes.
I've been very fortunate. So I've got obviously lots of hats and signed bits and pieces. I've seemed to have accumulated lots over the years, and yeah, I've got a few bits, but it's got to be quite simple. favorite. So I'm gonna try and take this on the road. I don't know how the sound quality or vision's gonna be, but
Don't
let's go in
worry
one
about
piece.
that. I'm very
What
intrigued
about the
because
view
you
of my
haven't even
house?
hesitated, so I'm very intrigued.
I knew this question was coming, so hopefully you can see it. But on the stairs there, uh, that's view in there. I've got
Oh, wow.
a signed replica suit, and that came with a still slightly in the a 1-to-1 scale um, signed helmet as well. And then there's all sorts of bits and pieces. But yeah, pretty simply has to be
So that's
those
signed
signed
by Lando,
items
is it? The suit.
signed by Lando, both of them.
I knew you had the
So
helmet because I've seen it at the Papaya pizza parties and I've seen it doing
yes,
the rounds.
I like to get my helmet out. What can I say?
Make of
So,
that what you will.
so it's just turned 18 suddenly. Yeah, where I can, I like to get the helmet. The suit stays there, hence why we obviously had to go on the move. The suit was a nightmare to get on the wall, but yeah, it was really strange. I won the competition, and I thought I don't even remember entering this competition. But okay, right. So this suit's coming, and it took a little while. So I won it in like January of 2023, and I was messaging a guy at McLaren, someone at OKX, like. I just need to know roughly how big it is when it's coming, and they were like, "We're really sorry, really sorry. It's yeah, we've got to get Lando in to sign it." Yeah, kept going on and on and on. And then they went, right, okay, we've got the suit. It's going to be framed. Um, we're really sorry. We're sending you a shirt signed by Lando as well to say sorry for the time. I'm like, no, 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 you don't have to do that. And they said, but the helmet's on the way as well. And I went, the helmet? Like, uh, okay, competition mentioned nothing about a helmet, but okay, great, thank you. Thinking it would be like a half, one of the half
Yeah,
scales.
yeah, yeah.
And then the box arrived, and my face went, like see the size of this box. And I turned to my wife, who, by the way, hates Formula One. Uh, so,
I've got one of them downstairs. Granted, we're not married, but the same thing still goes.
so this box arrived, and um, as I'm lit up, I'm gonna get this helmet. I'm like, I didn't even know they do replica 1-to-1 scales, and I'm just over the moon. And I'm like, and the suit's still to come. So I was like, right,
Wow.
rearranging. Yeah, the suit was meant to be on the wall opposite where the shelves were, suddenly rearranging everything. So yeah, incredibly lucky, obviously, to win that.
And they
As I said
framed
to
it
you
and
earlier,
everything for you. It was all framed and ready to go.
that's it. Yeah, it came from I'd seen them online, sort of lengthways in a thin frame, so I kind of thought that's how it'd be. When it came sort of folded up like that and in quite a deep case, I was a bit thrown by where it was going to go and had to change the plans for where it was going to go up on the
Wow.
wall. Um, yeah, incredibly grateful to OKX. Let's just say
Yeah,
so.
I can
Yeah, shout out
imagine.
to them.
Amazing. And I'm actually a basketball fan, so I remember I'm a basketball fan, and I remembered when Lando wore that helmet, and I thought, wow, that is a really cool helmet. And now you own it. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Absolutely amazing. Um, who are your all-time favorite drivers?
I, I, you're a Mika Hakkinen fan, and he's who got me into this. I'm gonna pick this up at one. I went through trying to find something as well, so I'm just gonna highlight that as well.
Oh
This is a
my
picture I found the
God.
other day.
Is that
Again,
you
went
and
to
Mika?
Silver's. That's me and Mika.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous.
This was some years after the after his sabbatical had started.
Yes.
Still on sabbatical, he might come
Yeah.
back. Uh, got to Silverstone for a driving experience. My dad, and we were early, and my dad goes, "Oh, there's something going on in the Stowe circuit, which is on the middle." And yeah, get through there. And I said, and as we approached, there was this Mercedes E-Class or something doing laps going around. And as it went by, I went, "That's Mika Hakkinen's helmet." And we walked further up, walked through, and I went, "That's Mika Hack." And yeah, walked through the garage. He was doing something with Johnny Walker. That's who it was at the time. Walked straight through and just went, "Can I get a picture?" So yeah, Mika Hakkinen, probably the top driver. I mean, I have a second name because I don't think he gets quite as much love as obviously our champions, our race winners. Stoffel Van Dorn is probably up there as well.
Really?
Um, yeah, I remember like watching him through. It was GP2 or F2. I don't know if it swapped names. But I remember watching him through that, through the Junior X, just thinking this guy has got it, and I just feel like he got to McLaren at the exact wrong moment to have Fernando Alonso as your teammate in a car that can barely finish or even barely start races.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was really glad when he went to Formula E, got a championship there. He's doing wonders over there. So I do still feel a little bit like he's one of my guy one of my favorite guys to have driven
Maybe a what
McLaren.
if
But
moment for him as well. If the car had been more reliable and a bit more competitive, I guess you never know. He could still be in
never know,
Formula One.
could well be. I think he had the talent to be, but yeah, just got the time wrong. So yeah, I'd say Mika Hakkinen, Stoffel Van Dorn, are probably my two.
I actually love that because that would be the last person I would have thought you were going to say, or certainly one of them at least. No disrespect to him, of course, but yeah, I was not expecting that. That's for sure.
We've had some incredible talent. Yeah, I thought about this question. I thought I know who it's going to be, and there's a lot of greats. There's a lot of people that are very close, like third, fourth, fifth. You know, you could list so many people that have driven for us, or even just in Formula One. But yeah, personally, I that's my two. Mika Hakkinen for getting into McLaren with him, and then Stoffel Van Dorn for being that person after Lewis Hamilton, where I just followed their entire career like be like being a McLaren driver even before they were driving for McLaren.
Yeah, yeah, they're great stories, aren't they? When you sort of watch them come through and you have that sort of different connect with them, if you like. I guess is I don't know if that's the right word or not, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. You know
Um,
them even before they pre-season test.
yeah, exactly that, exactly that. My next question was going to be, have you ever met any of the drivers? But I now know you've met God in Mika Hakkinen, which I couldn't be more jealous of. Have you met any of the others? Not that any of them will compare. It doesn't feel relevant. Let's move on. You've peaked with Mika. No, I'm only joking.
I've been very fortunate. I've met a lot of drivers through the years. Through like I've met Van Dorn a couple of times at Formula E or at Goodwood. Again in his GP2 year when he won the championship there. Met Mika. I've met so many people. I used to be a sim instructor for an F1 center, and I've raced a few as well. So I can actually say I've met a few and beaten a few in races and
Really?
simulators as well. Which I've got one picture I share quite regularly. There's a timing tower we used to have for the top 10. You could load up any car and track combination. And there's my name at the top. There's a few other instructors, and then there's George Russell. We weren't on track at the same time, but the fact my time was like 2 seconds quicker, I'm like, yeah, I'll have that. I'll beat him. Um, I
Wow.
I once, and not a name many people know, but there was a British number four before Lando Norris in Max Chilton.
Yes.
Met, raced him a few times because it was his dad that owned the centre I worked in. He he once had lots of his sort of high up, well paid friends, and so he brought out his son Max, who was in GP2 at the time, to come and entertain them and come and show them what he could do. And there was a spare seat, and my manager said, "Well, if he's gonna bring Max out to show them a race, get in there and give him a race." So he started at the back, and I caught up to him, and I went to overtake him, and he just put me in a wall. And I remember going like, "Oh my God, I've upset Max Chilton here. Like I need to." And I was racing along. I turned over my shoulder like this, and his dad was behind. And I said, "Is he okay?" And he went, "Yeah, yeah, beat him. It'd be good to have him beat sometime." So I carried on, overtook him. I apologized afterwards. And no, 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 just having fun. But I was, yeah, in the car, nervous that I'd upset a GP2 soon to be F1 driver.
Wow.
And then raced against Jolyon Palmer. Had a race against him again, pre F1. Yeah, I've been very fortunate to see drivers and be around them at times, and as I say, in simulators opposite them as well.
That's amazing. I remember when I was at the MTC and we did the simulator thing there, and they were sort of saying um their esports drivers, because I was saying that when they were saying that Lando and Oscar sometimes go in there, and I said, "Oh, I bet they put them to shame." And they were like, "Well, actually, you'll be surprised because the esport guys, they don't have the same fear of crashing that the drivers do,
Yeah.
because they're used to it. If they do crash, it's not hurting anyone. Whereas the drivers still naturally are wary of causing an accident or anything because that's just what they've spent their whole lives doing, I guess."
100% I get that because I can imagine being an instructor on, say, a track day in like a turn up driver supercar where you're trying to get people to put the throttle down. You're trying,
Yeah.
no, no, you're not, we're not going to let you get hurt. The track looks bigger than it is. Like, go for it. I'll tell you when you need to brake. In the F1 simulators, it was the opposite way around. The briefing was, guys, I know you don't want to hear this. You're not Michael Schumacher. You're not the next natural God-given talent that's about to appear out of this sim center. When you get out on track, remember you've got a brake pedal and slow down, keep it on the track. And of course, they get straight out the garage, straight into turn one, and bang, straight into turn one,
Overcook it.
die, and then back in the garage. And you're just trying to get them to slow down all the time. And it's that
Mm,
lack of fear of dying. If you drove a Formula One car for the first time, you would
yeah.
barely get into third gear.
I
But
was
these
going to
guys
say
are
you'd probably
plowing
be
through
going around doing
chicanes.
about 40 mile an hour most of the time because you'd be too scared of losing it.
Exactly that. So I completely get that. Yeah, the esports guy, there it's a different talent. And
Mm,
I remember having a talk with Max Chilton at some point, similar to that, where he said to me like, I'd really love to see what you could do in a car. And I sort of said, no, 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 it's what I do is very different to what you do. Um,
mm.
I'd love to give it a go. I'd love to have seen that back in the day, back in the day. I sound really old now. Back in the day, I would have loved to have seen that. But the quote I got from Trevor Carlin was 10 grand for a test day, and I was a bit like a bit out of my price range.
It's a
But yeah,
lot of
it's
money, isn't it?
very different. Yeah.
Yeah, like you
So
say, it's great that even though you could do that, you're under no illusion that it's chalk and cheese, and well, who knows? You maybe you could have been a Formula One driver. I guess you'll never know. But it's good that you were quite level-headed with the fact that it was completely different, and there was no way you could have pulled them times out in a Formula One car, probably. Maybe, who knows? You never know, I guess.
we'd never know. We'd leave it as an unknown, but the answer's no. Um,
I'm trying to be nice here.
realist, unfortunately, on my part. Yeah, when I discovered my parents weren't millionaires, was unfortunately the time I knew I wasn't going to be an F1 driver. But also, when I set foot in a go-kart, I kind of know that, when I've raced against people that race in kart championships and they're like 2, 3 seconds a lap quicker, you're like, okay, that's where I need to be if I was going to get anywhere close. So
Yeah,
no,
it's quite scary what these people can do in a car, isn't it? In real life,
yeah,
they make it look so easy when we sit and watch them, but the reality is it's really, really not. It's really
yeah,
not. I'm conscious of your time, and I know I've held you up, so I apologise for that.
it's fine.
I always end on the same question. I want to carry on. I got, as always, I've got so much I'd like to talk about, but I am conscious of your time. What is your all-time favorite F1 moment?
I think Brazil 2008 comes up a lot. Obviously winning an entire championship in the final corner. I don't think it's been mentioned yet, but possibly topping that ever so slightly because it was so out of the blue was Monza 2021. Like I remember I was watching Brazil 2008 at my friend's house and I remember jumping, when we won the championship, jumping around screaming. I did exactly the same. I was watching downstairs in this house Monza 2021 on my own because wife and daughter were busy elsewhere making sure they weren't watching it. And I remember just thinking, like, it was almost like 60 laps. I can't remember how 50 laps of Monza, like pinching myself. Is this really happening? Because obviously Ricardo gets into a lead. Lando Norris is third, but then quickly moves up to second. Then the Hamilton Verstappen thing happens, and you're thinking, well, they were the only threat, and we were pulling away from them even. This is coming together quite nicely. And yeah, then even then you're just thinking, "Oh, something's going to go wrong." This doesn't happen to McLaren anymore. We don't win races, let alone get one, two races. And when it happened, I just
Podiums were
remember just,
difficult to come by, never mind winning.
yeah, it was, yeah, it was so out of the blue. And I remember that moment when Ricardo specifically crossed the line, just the emotion, just screaming, just going, "Oh my, like, oh my God, what on earth have we done?" And jumping on the sofa, and my daughter coming down, "You okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, you don't know what's just happened. We just won. No, we've got a one. Two. It's not. We just won. We're first and second. With what? Like it was just that. As I say, just so unexpected. I think that for me currently, we'll see what happens if we get to Abu Dhabi and we have something. Maybe it's, we'll have our top moment this year. But right now, Monza 2021, I think for me was the top moment. Just that unexpected, that
I
out of
think
the
that's the
blue,
thing,
and
isn't it? When you're not expecting it, it feels so much so different, and you do appreciate it so much more. Whereas now it's like if
oh
they
yeah.
don't win, you're a bit like, oh God, we've had a terrible weekend. Um, it's
You really
it's
do appreciate it more, having been through those Honda years, those times where will we get two cars to the start line, to now where it's like, will we, we got a 1-3, that's disappointing.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
you do appreciate it, what you have more now for going through those rough times,
Yeah, I mean, I
definitely.
wasn't watching religiously then. I only got back into it religiously in the last sort of 15 months or so. But I was still watching it. I was just very much casually watching it then. But saying that, I saw a clip of that quite recently, last week, maybe the week before, and the radio from that as well, from Ricardo and from Lando, was
Yeah.
just like neither of them could believe they were both in pure shock what had happened, just like the fans, probably just like the whole team. And that alone, just watching them come across the finish line and listening to those radio messages, even now, you still go, wow, that was incredible. When you actually look back at, like you just said, where they were at that time, it's still quite emotional now listening back to that and watching it.
I mean, when you think back to the epic fight, championship fight that we got in 2021, I almost said the specific track. Well, we got that fight in 2021 across the season, the only 1-2 all year, despite it being very much Red Bull versus Mercedes, was McLaren. Was like, that's how good it was.
Yeah,
Hamilton only need Bottas to come second once in all the races he won. Verstappen only needed, it was Perez, wasn't it, his
Perez, yeah.
teammate then? Needed him to come second once in all the races he won for it to be a 1-2, and it didn't happen. But we managed it.
Mm,
It was just, even looking at that, you just go, that's just a bolt in the blue.
yeah, it's incredible. To look where we are now is it's crazy the turnaround. It really, really is. And it's,
Yeah.
people, okay, we're McLaren fans, so we're going to be biased, but people shouldn't begrudge us this time. I don't think. What's wrong with
I
feeling
hope
happy
not.
for people, you know? Like if Williams all of a sudden turned it around and won two constructors championships in a row out of nowhere, I'm a McLaren fan, but I'd be like, do you know what? That's a great story. That's brilliant. I'm
Yeah.
really happy for them. And I get, there's a bit more hatred, if you like, a bit of a strong word, but with regards to Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren, it's a bit more intense, shall we say. So I get why those guys perhaps aren't so happy for us, maybe a little bit bitter. I saw a
It
great
grows from
tweet,
everywhere.
and it took every ounce of me not to retweet it. But it was, I think, I can't remember if it was a Red Bull or Ferrari fan, can't remember now. And they said, they quote tweeted the McLaren, the official McLaren page while they were celebrating, saying, genuinely couldn't happen to a worse deserving team, and just went off on a rant about how awful McLaren was. And I quote
Mm.
tweeted it, and I put a gif of a guy drinking, saying, "I'm drinking all your salty tears." And I was this close to pressing send, and I desperately wanted to, but somehow the bigger person in me came out, which doesn't happen very often, but I'm
I
working on
hate
it.
that person.
I'm working on it so hard. So I didn't press send, but I was desperate to press send. But what I didn't want to do was open up a whole world of negativity because it was probably the type of person that's just going to keep barking and barking, and I don't really want that in my life. I would rather concentrate on the positive people. So I didn't do it, but it did make me laugh.
Yeah, there's so much around, and it doesn't take a lot to attract them either. Um, I mean, just specifically on McLaren's pages, they do let's have a OP81 appreciation post, and it goes, oh, where's the LN4
Yeah,
appreciation post? Oh, you're favoring. Oh, just be joyous. Have like a little ounce of joy in your life. Don't be such a soul vacuum.
it's infuriating. I feel so sorry for this social team. Like genuinely
Yeah.
feel sorry for them because they cannot win. It doesn't matter what they post. They cannot win. They could just post a picture of the MTC saying home, and people would go, well, there'll be something. It would just like,
Home to only one of your drivers.
yeah, yeah, there you go. See, God, we've read too much of this. You came up with that far too quickly.
Too good.
But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
actually me on
it's,
a burner account.
yeah. Listening to your podcast, I know that is definitely not true. Definitely not true. Speaking of your podcast again, I really wanted to pull a gag on you as we finished and say, see you spoon.
Seed spoon. Oh my God. I was so close to just knocking that off the end, you know. But I thought for this very reason, I'm like, I've got to keep it. It's the next Perry Orange, I think. Seed
There you
spoon.
go. That should be your sign off every week. See you spoon.
It will be. Yeah.
For
So
those that don't know,
definitely.
Perry signed off one of his podcasts, and instead of saying "see you soon," he said "see you spoon," and very quickly realised what he said. But it was hilarious. I enjoyed it.
There's always something. I've said I'm a Ferrari fan on my podcast before and gone, no, I meant McLaren. Obviously, I meant McLaren. And you
Oh
go,
wow!
oh my God. You just say things, you're talking, you know how it is, you're talking and you say stuff and then you're not thinking about the next word. You say something off cuff and you go, oh my God, I just said that. And when you hear Crofty, Brundle, whatever it is in commentary, say something, you're like, I get it now. I fully understand where that comes from when they say Albon in the Mercedes or something like that. You go,
Yeah.
I understand.
It's
I'm with
so
you,
easily
Crofty.
done. It's so easily done. There is one more thing I just wanted to touch on before I let you go, Perry. Last week when I had Emma and Andrew on, who did this amazing print behind me, um, I didn't shout out Keith, and it was because of Keith that sort of I met Emma and Andrew, and to be honest, probably the reason I've got that it is all started from Keith talking about them on the podcast, tagging them in my tweets, and last week it was just all a bit of a chaotic one, and I didn't mention Keith, and I felt terrible. I actually messaged him afterwards to say, Keith, I'm so sorry. I know you won't care, but I actually do, and it's bothered me since. So I just wanted to end this episode of saying, Keith, thank you, not just for that, but for the support that you've given me from day one, which you really didn't have to. You've gone out of your way every single time to message me or to comment or to like, and it means a lot, mate. It really, really does. And you're such an amazing bloke, and that's not just me that says it. Everyone tells me the same thing. So thank you, mate. And I've had some great support from everybody, but just because last week I didn't mention you, I just wanted to make a big point of saying thank you, mate. It means the world. So thank you, Keith. Really appreciate you, man.
I I will double that up. He's someone I message quite a lot, and he's probably one of the driving forces behind my own podcast as well. This is double loving for Keith. I mean, he deserves it. He's one of the most passionate, brilliant guys out there, isn't he? So
Genuine, just a genuine nice guy. And
he's
everyone has
got so
messaged
much
me to
time.
say the same. So it's, yeah. Yeah, one day I'll get to meet him in person, hopefully. But yeah, he's an amazing guy. And he's so supportive. And I know this whole community is just so supportive. We speak about it all the time, and it does feel like a big family, and it is amazing. And I still can't believe how supportive people have been with me, because I am very much imposter syndrome. Every week I do this, I feel like a bit of a fraud. But I love it. I love chatting to the
Definitely not.
people, and I love the support that I've got. So thank you to everyone. But yeah, that was just a special thanks to Keith because I felt terrible for not mentioning him last week. That was my bad. Uh, Perry, thank you so much for joining me, mate. I'm sorry I messed you about with the timings. Work run away with me today, so I appreciate you
Not
being
at all.
flexible. Uh,
No, thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, it's been a joy. And yeah, just carry on doing everything you're doing because you're doing a brilliant job. No imposter syndrome, please. You're
Thank
doing
you, mate.
amazing.
It's like I say, it's always easy when you got great guests. So yeah, I'm very lucky. And likewise to you, mate. I really enjoy your podcast as well. And it's not just F1; it's
Thank you.
all sort of series of motorsport. And even if you're not into it, it's still quite interesting. Well, it's still very interesting. Not quite interesting. IndyCar is something I want to try and get into next season. And I've listened to some of your podcasts about that. And even though it's not something I'm massively into now, it's still really interesting and it's going to help me get into it. So yeah, keep doing your thing, mate. It's brilliant.
That was one of the main drivers behind it was someone tweeted about IMSA, I think it was, saying, "Oh, people really watching that F1 come back," and I thought, no, no, no. There's so many other series, and as I said before, I've enjoyed discovering new ones, and this weekend, hopefully, looking to cover Super Formula, which again, a lot of people may not know about. I did follow it at one point because Stoffel Van Dorn was there, so it's just a call to arms to say to people, give something new a go. You
Yeah.
might find that you actually enjoy another motorsport series even more than F1, dare I say it.
And you know, you can watch more than one, right? If you've got time, that is. You can be a fan of more than one. You don't have to be solely, oh, I'm just an F1. If you are just an F1 fan, fine. But be a bit open-minded, I guess.
That's it. That is exactly it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Perry.
No, thank
Uh,
you.
guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I've been Jimmy. That's been Perry. This has been the Papaya Pod. And until next time, never stop racing.